Okay. But I can't think of many more people that are as busy as she was. And she said, my plate was full. So what did I do? I went and got a bigger plate. So between Brenda Martin, there are several people, Amy Paul, y'all, they have like a dozen kids. Almost, pretty much. I can't imagine being much more busy than that. But yet, they all found time to work their business. And I know I'm one of the world's worst, thinking, okay, well, I'm so busy. Y'all, I just don't have time to do that today. But it really opened my eyes. If she can do it, I can do it. So now then, they earn a 6-figure income monthly. Not yearly, monthly. So you talk about being able to have some time freedom there. And she said, in this book, it's time to get real and get raw. We have to be willing to be honest with ourselves and do the things we discuss in this book. If we are brave enough, it'll be worth it. So, I've decided that I'm drawing my line in the sand, and I'm going to do the hard things, even videos, as bad as I hate them. And Kenna and Brittany will tell you that I have a panic attack when I have to do a video. But you know what? If that's going to make the difference between me sitting behind this desk every day, working from home, or having the freedom to get out and do things and go to Maui, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm done making excuses. I'm ready to work.
I actually really, that was probably what really stuck out to me, what your introduction was, where you said that she had all these irons in the fire and she had all these things going on. But for me, the biggest thing that really stuck out was her freedom and how much freedom she didn't have. And that's exactly why she started this, is because she started to realize that she really wanted more freedom with her family, even though she was a pretty successful woman. And so was her husband, because her husband was a doctor, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so she decided that she wanted more freedom with her family. And so I love what you said, is she decided that she was going to go all in and not use the excuses of all the things that she had going on. So that was
right.
awesome.
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Did somebody say something? Okay. So chapter 1 talks about why people fail and why that ain't gonna be us. So one of the biggest things that stuck out for me about this, and I know I've heard this, I mean, y'all, today is my 3-year anniversary. But, and I've heard this 100 times before, but y'all, we are the CEO of our own business. So we have to run this like a business, like a startup business. So what I asked myself today, whenever I was going back, or not just today, but in the last few days when I was going back through and making notes, because I've already read the whole book and now I'm starting back over, going through making notes for this. But would I hire myself with the consistent work that I've put in? Maybe, but I would not appoint myself as a CEO. because consistently, have I done what needs to be done on a daily basis? No. But that's changing. And she's, in the book it says she didn't say that this was going to be easy. It's anything but easy. It's hard, and it is hard. It's going to test you in ways you never imagined. It'll have tremendous highs and cavernous lows. It will require you to dig deep and learn resilience. So get clear on who you are and what you stand for. It'll be a roller coaster that will sometimes have you thinking that you're going to fly off, and other times will make you want to hurl. And I think we've probably all had that roller coaster ride. Times when you have people that join and want to work, and they start adding people, and then times when we hear crickets. But, it's just the nature of the beast. But we can categorize our people into 3 different buckets. You've got customers who they're just going to order every month. They're fine with just ordering. They don't want to join our teams or anything, and they may even send us, a few customers here and there. And they just love the products, and that's okay, because we need to have a good balance of customers and ambassadors. And then we're going to have people that see what we see. They want to join our team. They get the business, and they're going to work it. And then we have the last bucket is people that are not interested. They're not interested in the products. They're not interested in the business. But y'all, we have to get in the habit of asking for referrals. She talks about referrals in this book a lot, and has gotten a lot of referrals, ambassadors and customers. Does anybody ever ask for referrals? I know I haven't been.
Do y'all ask for referrals? Do you ever ask for referrals?
I have in the past.
You have, Mariana?
Just on occasion, it just depends, but I would say, 2% of the time, it's not a huge percentage.
Have you had any luck?
No, but I don't think I've given it I haven't done it enough to feel discouraged about it. I feel like I just need to get out of that comfort zone, get over myself, and just ask.
Yeah, and I think it's in chapter 5 that she really talks about how to ask for referrals. So, and she said that she's actually had people join her team and gone all the way to the top just off of it, a referral. So my thought is it can't hurt. So we have to do this day in and day out, week after week, month after month, consistently, showing up and doing the work. And then that's what's going to create a thriving business. But she, and I know we've probably all heard this too, but if your mouth is shut, your business is closed.
I love that. That was probably one of my favorite pieces in there. If your mouth is shut, your business is closed. I'm gonna elaborate a little bit on that real quick. I actually, who was I on the phone with today? It was Audra, I think. And I was talking to her about being intentional when you're out. And so a lot of the times when you're out, you're going out and you're thinking to yourself, you know what? I'm like, you can't see me. I'm like not even moving over here because
there
okay.
you go.
Okay. So when you're out, y'all, so we're talking about when your mouth is shut, your business is closed. How many of you go out during the day and you're like, oh, I'm going to soccer practice, okay? And you go to soccer practice, and you're like, I'm just tired. I'm gonna sit over here in the corner at soccer practice, right? When really, truthfully, you should be intentional at soccer practice. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're going to bring up plexus at soccer practice. It means that you are intentional with building relationships at soccer practice. And so I think that is so important. I haven't told this story yet, and almost made it as my Facebook post. But yesterday, I actually invited a girl over to my house that I did not know. She was a complete stranger. I met her at Ethan Allen about a year and a half ago, and I gave her my business card. I walked in there yesterday. I was looking at some furniture, and she said, and I told her about plexus, and we had talked about it a little bit. And she goes, I really need to talk to you about that. And I go, hey, why don't you come over to my house afterwards? She actually came to my house after work yesterday, and we spent about an hour at my house just kind of hanging out and having the best time. We had such a great time together. I'm not going to push plexus on her, but we just had a really great time. A complete stranger. I almost wrote it on Facebook and tagged her because we became Facebook friends after she was at my house. So I'm glad I didn't die or anything. But my point is that when you're out, so many of us think that our market is tapped out. It is not tapped out. If you are building relationships along the way, you don't have to just bring up plexus all the time, but you open your mouth and have intentional conversations when you're out. Eventually, those conversations and those relationships can come to fruition in your business. So just thought I would share that. And then one other thing, I want to say this real quick. I read this part and I loved it. Life happens. You were talking about excuses and all the kids earlier, and this was probably one of my favorite pieces in the in chapter 1, I think it is. It says, and I actually read through it. I'm on chapter 5 or 6, and so I had to go back, and I didn't really read over it tonight, so I felt bad. But life happens to every single one of. I'm not a really good reader either. I should go back to kindergarten. But life happens to all of us every single day. We all work the same 24 hours. So why do some people stop working their business when life happens while others keep working their business in spite of everything that life throws at them?
They're hungry.
And it says because they're hungry. And I mean really hungry. And it's funny because she said I was starving, not literally, but I was.
You're skipping ahead, Brittany.
Huh?
You're skipping ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll be quiet. Go. There you go. That was my favorite piece, and I wanted to share that. When you get to that, I'm going to share with that. Okay.
Okay, because I have it written down. So yeah.
Go. Sorry, but I want to share that.
But no, it's good. I loved it. So does anybody else have anything to contribute? Tamara, take yourself off mute.
Okay.
There we go.
I joined DWE, Dallas Women's Entrepreneur, something just to get out because, I unfortunately work at I have a job every day that's getting worse and worse every single week. But I started going to Bible study about maybe about a month ago. And last week they started talking about that they're trying to bring the church's covenant there in Carrollton, and they were trying to open a Dallas campus. So they're doing this Bible study. And they were talking about that already since trying to do this, how Satan was going to start attacking people. This was last Wednesday. On Thursday, when I went to work, and he talked about everybody gave some examples, and so they prayed over everybody that, this would not happen. So I went to work on Thursday. Literally, the thing happened. And I would have normally fallen apart and just been, my kid's like, Mom, you're so calm. I said, well, this is what happened at the Bible study. So what it's taught me is that you have to be stronger than the things that are going to start coming against you. I've already had everything that I can think of come against me over the last 15, 17 years. And so it's time. And I did a video today on my break at work. I was standing outside letting the mosquitoes eat me. And I was standing by the sign. I didn't know what I was going to have a video about. And the sign was said no parking. And when I read that, I was like, that's what I did for so long in my life. I parked on the side in the corner and I was just there. Life passed me by, just like the cars on, the cars that are parked on the side of the street. I was me. Everybody was going by. They were living life. They were engaged in life. They were doing life. I was doing nothing. And so that was the name of my video, was No Parking, Don't Sit and Park Yourself. So last Saturday, I met this lady and I had something else to do. And I said, well, I think I'll just call her and see if she's available. I said, I made a person that's actually could be a friend. I'll go and engage. So I went over there and spent like 4 or 5 hours talking to her. She had a business. She closed it. She was talking and she was like, she kept saying, she goes, you're so funny. I just really like you. I would love to do this. She was saying, are you interested in, doing this and this and this and this? She owns a little clothing store. Just an opportunity when people came in and they were talking about they couldn't fit this, that, and the other. And I said, well, do I have permission? Can I tell these people about Plexus? So again, like you said, open your mouth. I'm just starting to decide to do these things. It's harder because I don't have as many opportunities because I work all day, literally all day. By the time you get home, you are exhausted emotionally and everything else. And then you try to do other things, but it's true. Open your mouth and just get out and try to have relationships. It wasn't about Plexus. It was just about meeting a new person, having a friendship, meeting somebody with some things in common, and letting that fill your spirit. So I would agree. I wish I had more time to do that.
I think it's great, though, that you've gotten involved in other groups, so you are making time to do that.
It's like I only go once a month. I go once a month and just go out and meet people. And then, they actually are calling back. And I told a lady about the probiotic, and she said she takes one already. And I was like, well, oh, that's great. I'm learning not to down somebody else. I said, that's really great. At least you're taking one. I said, well, where do you purchase yours? She said, oh, I buy it at Whole Foods. I said, is it refrigerated? She said, yes. And I said, well, I just want you to know, just for your own information, if you have to take a probiotic that's refrigerated, it's not really doing you any good because, blah, blah, blah. And so I didn't say anything else, gave her my card. So last week I got a messenger like, hey, I'm ready to try the probiotic. And of course, I'm like, who is it? I'm looking through all my notes of the people that I've seen or messaged. And I'm like, I don't see her name. I didn't have any idea who she was. So I called her. I said, great. I would listen to Chris McCall tell me what to do because I don't ever know what to do. What is the right thing? What's the wrong thing? Chris McCall, I was just that same day listening to his recording, and he said, just jump on it right there. Great. When do you want to sign up? Just cut and dry. So I said, great. When do you want to get signed up? She said, oh, I'm at the grocery store. I'll be home in a half an hour. And I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, this stuff really works. So I said, excellent. I said, call me as soon as you get home. So she called me back and I said, okay, let's get you signed up. And I signed her up as a preferred customer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never had that happen to the people that I've signed up. You sweat and bleed. Oh, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I say? So if you watch enough and learn enough, you keep trying this, try that, something will end up working.
Yeah, that's one thing that she talks about in this book is learning the profession. She said, when I started, I knew nothing about network marketing. She said, so I got as much information, got on as many training, and I wanted to know everything about it. So that's great.
Everybody has a different way, you can talk to 20 people and each of them will give you a different directive on how to approach strangers, how to do this, how to do that. And I've tried many different of them.
You just have to pick the one that fits your personality the best. Because it has to be natural.
Right. Well, naturally I talk to everybody, but then how to segue over to Plexus is always my challenge. Like, do you say this? Do you not say that? So.
Awesome. Okay. So now she talks about the 4 reasons why people fail. Reason number 1 They aren't coachable. So, question that I have is, when your upline or your sideline gives you constructive criticism, do you always have an excuse or try and justify?
Is that a question?
Yeah, that's a question.
You're the worst with this, Wendy. You like never take constructive criticism from me.
What? Okay, how do I remove somebody from the meeting?
Oh,
Oh,
my.
okay.
Say that with a straight face.
I'll jump in on that because. Oh wait, I'm getting.
You're vibrating because you have both of them on. You have two things on.
Okay, wait a minute. Somebody's got a lot of background noise.
There we go. Judy. Now Judy has to unmute.
Now
herself.
she's frozen.
It said Judy left the meeting on my screen, so maybe she pushed the wrong button.
Down on another one. Unmute her on that one, Wendy. There we go. Now
Okay.
there you go. Unmute her. There. Judy,
Yep.
there you go.
All right. Sorry, I had both on. Yeah, on that note, I remember the day Brittany was telling me how coachable Kenna was. because I argued with everything she said. So, and let me tell you, that slowed me down. Not that. Me arguing slowed me down, not Brittany telling me I was not coachable.
I did.
But
you know what? You
yeah.
know what I love about Judy though is I literally told her one day, "You are not coachable." Like we had a conversation, and I just said, "You're not coachable," and I can't deal with it, basically. And she completely did a 180. And honestly, like she said, I wish to God I would have stopped listening, basically, to all my fears for so long. And I think your fears make you uncoachable, because you're so busy grabbing onto things that you shouldn't be listening to. I mean, she made a complete 180, but it was awesome.
I was so busy saying I couldn't be Brittany that I didn't bother trying to find me.
Bingo.
I just said I couldn't be Brittany.
I don't think we can handle a whole lot of Brittany's.
I'm leaving this conversation.
You know I love you.
No, but I love that. But are you coachable? I think that's such a great. I have been around people that the minute you say anything to them, it's not that they necessarily say whatever. They might say, "Oh, I know that," or "Oh, I already done that," or "Oh, I blah, blah," like. And so when you're doing that sometimes, and when you're talking to people, and when you're I think sometimes they're.
Hey, Brittany, we can hardly hear you.
I know something happened.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened. I'm telling you, I'm all messed up. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Okay. I don't know what's wrong. Huh. You can see me though, right? Yep.
Yeah, we can see you.
I don't know why you can't hear me. I guess I'll shut up. Maybe that's my sign to shut up. But go ahead.
Okay, and so, y'all, any of us can do this. I mean, there's no reason that every single one of us can't be where Brittany is. And, you know, something that she says is, if you're not seeing any success, it's almost always because we're not following the system. You know, all these people have gone before us. They've learned, they've made their mistakes, they figured out what works and what doesn't work. And, yeah, I mean, we have so many training videos, and all different things to follow that they didn't have. So there's really, unless we're not following the process or we're not coachable, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why we fail. You have to be a student of the profession, and we have to make sure that we are committed to be 100% coachable. And then she said, if you're not 100% coachable, take your book and give it to somebody else. I thought that was funny. And she said, why is this so important? Because if you're not coachable, you're not going to talk to enough people. And I think that is the biggest thing, is we have to get out of our own comfort zone and talk to people. I mean, I can talk to people all day long, but do I talk to them about Plexus all day long? No, I don't. And so many times I kick myself in the rear for, after I leave, like, why didn't I say this or why didn't I say that? So the second reason that people fail is because we don't treat it like a business. To turn your venture into a successful business, you must make it a priority and carry your business with you wherever you go. So how many of us take samples or brochures or business cards every time we leave the house? And then how many of us actually give them out to somebody?
This depends.
I just
Sometimes.
gave one out today. I just gave one out today.
Well, good. I haven't left my house today, so I didn't.
Tell me what you said right before you said that, because I was also thinking that you need to friend request people when you're giving out your brochure. I think that's uber important, because every time I give out a brochure, without friend requesting someone, they don't ever usually call.
Right.
So if you're not doing the two together, then you're just almost giving away a piece of paper.
Yeah, and that happened to me. I had gone to a store here in town. Oh, I don't know. It's probably been 5 or 6 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. And I was checking out. I made a purchase, and I'm checking out, and the store manager was there, and she must have been from out of town. I think she was coming in to do some training or something. She was from Columbus, Mississippi, which is about 2 hours from here. And she was asking the checkout girl, she said, do you know of any place in town where you can eat healthy? I'm thinking, not in this town. And I said, no, not really. And the girl said, well, you could go, I can't remember where she said to go. And she said, well, I'm really trying to eat no carbs, no sugar, no dairy. I said, are you doing a Whole30? And she said, yeah, I am. She said, actually, I'm a diabetic, and it's really helped me a lot. I said, really? So I gave her a sample, and of course, in a brochure, and my label was on the back of both. And I told her a little bit about it. And after I got in my car and left, I thought, you are so dumb. You did not even get her contact information. And of course, did I ever hear from her? No. So that is so important.
Can I add something there?
Uh-huh.
So I want to back up to the number one reason why we fail. and
Okay.
we're not coachable. Okay, not coachable to me comes in a lot of different forms. That not only means my upline or my sideline telling me this is how you can make it better, or you messed up here, let's try it a different way. It also comes with me remembering who I am. And who I am is that I have the mind of Christ. And yes, I make some really bad choices sometimes, but he's going to help me along the way. And as long as I remember that my number one coach needs to be God, and he needs to guide me, and I need to follow him, then I'm going to be more coachable to my sidelines and my upline to make this business better. But I've got to remember that I've got to change my thought process and my mindset. And if those two things don't begin to shift and change, I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm going to be stuck in the mud.
Yep.
I love it.
That's very good.
Spot on.
I love that.
And then she talks about IPAs. We have to do IPAs every week, even when we're tired, when we're disappointed, when we're frustrated. And y'all, I can tell you, I have those days 2 or 3 days a week where we're disappointed, we're frustrated, people aren't responding, and then you think, well, what's the point? That have your pity party for about 5 minutes, and then I have to tell myself to put my big girl panties on and get back to work. And that's probably the hardest thing in the world, is when we're in that downward slope. Don't y'all think?
Well, my question is, I think for everybody on here is the whole book is get over your damn self. So it basically means no matter what you're doing is get over it and do those IPAs. So are you, I think the question is to everyone on here, does everyone want to be in Maui next year, 2018?
Yes.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you want to be in Maui in 2018. Okay. So if you want to be in Maui in 2018, those IPAs are super important. Income producing activities is what's going to get you to Maui. I promise you. There are days, like she said, that you don't feel like doing that stuff. Okay, that's fine. I have days where I don't do IPAs. I'm just going to tell you. But if I don't, I'm going to work extra hard the next day, and I'm going to make up for the IPAs that I didn't do, because I make sure that is always a part of my daily activity. Now, an IPA could come in the form of, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
So IPA could come in the form of just building some relationships and being intentional, like we were talking about, while you're out. That can be an IPA. But make sure you're talking to 2 to 3 people a day and building those relationships. So that is super huge too. Taking the time out to talk to someone on the phone, not necessarily about Plexus, maybe just about their life and what they're going through. Okay, so be intentional, because we are in this business to serve and help other people. So an IPA could simply just be to listen to someone's problem that day, because you're building a foundation of trust within that person. So I just think that it's uber important, y'all, to make sure if you're not reaching out to 3 to 5 people a day, every single day, then Hawaii is not going to be on your radar next year.
The 4 to 5 people that you're reaching out to every day is not necessarily about Plexus. It's just building relationships also.
Sometimes mine is just building relationships, or reaching out to someone on Facebook and saying, I saw that picture of your kids. I know some people say it's all about just, hey, have you tried Plexus? I believe that you should ask, and I believe that you should actually be intentional with your conversations with people. And so you're asking about their kids. How are your kids doing? I just saw a picture of them. Build some of those relationships too. If you're lacking in the relationship department, you have to start there. So
Can I
if
say
you,
something?
yeah, go right ahead, please.
How many of you, and this is like something I have not done, have recently started doing, when you friend request someone, do you actually, because that's part of your IPA, right? We're friending people, we're talking to people. So when we friend them on Facebook, are you just totally being a creep, or are you messaging them and finding out what's going on in their life after you friend them and you're like, hey, what's up? What's going on with you? That immediately starts that connection. And that also, if you're doing it through Messenger, gets them to start seeing your feed. So there's a two-way win-win right there. So when you friend somebody in the next 24 to 48 hours, they accept it or you accept theirs, talk to them. That is like the simplest way to get conversations going. I mean, I just had a conversation earlier this week with one of my very old bosses, and it was, we just hadn't connected in a couple of years because after I was done with that job, I just left and didn't really keep that connection with him. So now we connected as soon as we, were friends on Facebook. We connected and had a great conversation, and he brought up his health in the conversation. So it was so natural for that to happen. So that's a very easy way for everyone to, on your IPAs, if you're friending people, connect with them, literally connect and talk to them.
Since we talked about that the other day, I came across a mom that Kayla used, a cheer mom that Kayla, she cheered with her daughter long time ago when she was little, and I friend requested her. And then after she accepted it, I messaged her, and we probably chatted for 20 or 30 minutes. And of course,
Yes.
I didn't bring up a thing about Plexus, but that wasn't
Exactly.
because it's establishing that connection again.
In that relationship
Mm-hmm.
building. Yep.
Love that, Kenna. Hey, speaking of that, maybe one of the challenges, I don't know if you have something like this in place, Wendy, but maybe one of the challenges for this group by next week is to friend 5 to 10 new people on Facebook before we meet again.
That would be awesome.
So everybody on here,
And reach out to them on Messenger once they accept your friend request, and just establish that connection, that relationship again.
so maybe next week we could share our experiences of how we reached out to 5 to 10 new people, or we friended 5 to 10 new people on Facebook, and then we share our experience. I think sometimes we're so nervous, to friend someone or whatever, but I think that would be an awesome thing for us to be able to kind of share a little bit of that. And then once you friend them, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time or something like that, make sure you're liking their Facebook posts.
Right.
Like a few of their Facebook posts, because if you don't like them, you're not going to come up in their newsfeed. So remember
commenting.
Or commenting something, yeah. You have to interact with people in order for you guys to come up in each other's newsfeed.
Right.
One thing I have a question about is I don't have a problem with trying to connect with people. My problem comes when knowing when to go to the next level, when to approach Plexus with them.
I think that you have to, I'm so blunt when I say this, and this is not like towards you when I say this, but, you have to listen, right? And so when you're listening, people are going to, I say this a lot, people are going to mention one of the three things. They're going to mention weight, wellness, or weight loss. Okay, so weight, wellness, or weight loss. You might even see it on their Facebook page. They're going to mention it. So if you're in conversation with someone and you're feeling like, this person really needs Plexus and I really want to share it with them, and they say something about, oh, I keep going to the doctor, I keep having allergies really bad, then you kind of bring it into the conversation and just say, I used to be, it's that feel, felt, sound. I think we talk a lot about that. How does that go?
I used to have the same issues, but fortunately I don't have those anymore.
And this is what I found. And so, I felt that way. This is what I found. So I think that you have to you have to listen and figure out what people's needs are. And once you hear their needs, then you will be in tune with when it's appropriate to bring it into the conversation. So maybe one of the things you could do, Susan, I think this is a great kind of little exercise, is a lot of times people have their people in a list. You know, some people have a board at home. Here are my customers, here are my prospects, here's this. Then start like writing next to those people like what their needs are, or are they, like, if you do a 3-way call with me, a lot of times I'll ask you like 100 questions. Are they a single mom? Do they work? Do they have kids? Blah, blah. I want to know all of that stuff because I want to know what it is that I feel like how Plexus is going to bless them. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is we got to figure out how we're going to bless other people. And so when we really start listening and being in tune with them, then we'll know exactly when to bring Plexus into the conversation.
Yeah, and she really talks a lot about that in, I think it's chapter 5 or 6, which is awesome because she gives you like some word tracks to use. Of course, we all need to kind of tailor them to fit out, you know, us. But I like it because it's a great guideline.
Love it.
Okay, so reason number 3 why people fail. And this is probably my biggest challenge. We aren't willing to get uncomfortable.
Woo!
Oh.
Raise your hand if you don't want to be uncomfortable. Raise your hand if you don't like being uncomfortable. Okay, so I'm going to tell y'all, I actually kind of love being uncomfortable. Like, I love it because I'm such a nut. I like completely love being uncomfortable. I'm like, fly by the seat of my pants is awesome to me in some ways. So yeah, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And y'all, and this is, I think this is the area that I am going to push myself the most, because I know this is my the weakest thing about me. Because I will tell y'all, I was stressing just a little bit about as many people that were going to do this book study. I text Brittany one night and I said, okay, I think I'm in a little over my head. And she said, why? I said, oh my gosh, there are like a ton of people in this group. She said, good, then it's going to stretch you. Like, that is not the answer I was looking for.
It is. I mean, and if it doesn't stretch you, you're not going to grow.
Right. No, I know.
I love it. And kudos to Wendy, y'all, for doing this. Seriously, for us. I mean,
Thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome. I mean, seriously, y'all, this is like way out of my comfort zone.
And guess what? You'll be like a pro by the time it's over.
I just have to tell you, I almost didn't do it just because of what the name of the book.
I know, right?
I was like, oh, she's got a cuss word on the book. I can't do that.
Oh, I know.
Oh, she's got several of them in the book too. And I'm like,
does.
you know, I love her no BS attitude, but she probably kind of left out a few choice words.
It's a couple. Just
a couple, yeah. But something that really struck with me here is she said, after a little bit of success followed by a hiccup or two, it's common to see business builders go into management mode with the team they have instead of continuing to put themselves out there and keep building. I thought, wow, does that hit home?
That is huge. And the bigger your team gets, every single one of you on here, the bigger your team gets, that is huge. That is something you kind of have to decide. I still have to be a personal recruiter. I can't, once you pour into people, you pour into them, you pour in, you keep dripping and you keep dripping, but I still have to work my personal business. I love my people. I want to pour into them as much as possible, but I can't manage their business. I have to keep working my personal business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so super important the more you grow. That's why it's so important to pour into people in the beginning. And then you have to keep making sure you're adding people yourself.
Yeah, she says your business won't continue to grow if you keep putting yourself out there. If you don't keep putting yourself out there over and over and over.
Yeah. So I think that's why it's so important to make sure you're adding your 3 people every month. And you will see that.
Right. Anybody have any thoughts on that? I know it's getting late. Reason number 4, we aren't hungry enough. We stop working our business because life happens. And this is what Brittany was talking about earlier. So why do some people keep going no matter what life throws at them? Because they're hungry, really hungry. She said you've got to figure out what it is that you really want, that you don't have, what it is you really want that you don't have. Whatever it is.
Freedom.
Huh?
I say freedom.
Yeah. Whatever it is, it's got to be important enough to get you to do something with commitment and consistency. It's got to be important enough to get you up, make one more phone call, to reach out to one more person, to loop back with one more prospect, even when you're really weary. Because if we want something bad enough in this life, we make it happen. It's just that simple. So regardless of how tired we are, you just have to keep going. You have to visualize what it is you're working for and just do whatever it takes to get there.
I think this is when we have to remember what our why is. And I know that she goes on to talk about that later, but our why is supposed to make us cry. But even outside of those boxes, our why should be even bigger than just to make us cry. There has to be a reason. And when we remember that, then that helps to push us that next day. That helps to push us sometimes the next minute, because some minutes we're just ready. I'm done. I quit. I don't want to go any further. All I'm hearing is crickets. Nobody wants to respond. I've reached out to everybody I can possibly reach out to. I just quit. So whenever we back up, regroup, remember why we started. And I know that our why changes. I know that it grows. I know that it evolves. But go back to your original why. Why did you start this? And that will help to fuel you on to the next minute, the next hour, the next day.
Right.
I think there's somewhere in this book where she says too that your why has to be somewhat about you too.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what she says. Your why has to be about you, not about your kids, not about your husband, not about money. It has to be about you. That's the only thing
And
that's
be selfish.
going when life throws everything it possibly can at you.
I think that's what really hit me hard is when she said your why, because I never knew that. My why was always, just I want to be able to make sure I can pay for this for my kids and blah, blah, blah. And then honestly, it hit me that my why was about me. I was tired. I was tired at work. I was tired of standing on my feet all day. I was actually, recently I said this, I was tired of being a slave to someone else's schedule all the time. I've been a slave to my customers for years, and I'm tired of that. And so it really, it kicked it into a different gear for me when I realized that this was about me in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She said, as women, we're programmed to do everything for others. Building this business for others won't be enough. It has to be about you.
Yeah.
She said you need a bulletproof why to get you through the tough times. And that's why it has to be about you and for you. And of course, like Tricia said, you know, your whys are going to evolve as your business grows. And so you're not stalling out. You need to continually check in with yourself, you know, your why and your priorities. Has everybody written down their why? I did, but I went back and thought about it some more. She says, hang on. Oh, and she also said another reason people, this is not figuring out your why, but she said another reason people can't figure out their why is because they've stopped dreaming.
Yep.
That's
love very
that.
true.
I love
Very
that.
true.
I
Yep.
love that.
And I think for our own, and we don't have to do it for this, but I would challenge each one of us to do a dream board. Not a digital dream board, but a real life, hold it in your hand dream board that you can put somewhere in your house that you see all the time as a constant reminder.
Okay, I just had some, you know, me creative juices going here. I love what you just said. So check this out. All right, so what if every single one of us that are on this phone call tonight, before the end of this week, we do our little dream board and we make it our screensaver on our phone?
Yeah, and I'm going to do it on my computer too.
And that way you see it. I know for me on my phone, I'm looking at my phone. I'm on my phone all the time. So if I have it like right there, I love that. I'm totally going to, I've done a dream board. I'm going to go find mine and probably add or subtract or whatever the case may be and make it as.
It's probably changed.
Yeah, let's post them. Y'all want to post them?
Yeah, let's post them on the book study page.
Awesome. Let's do it. Post our dream boards on the book study page. I'm going to put that right here. Post dream board. Okay.
And then goals.
Yeah.
Goals. Our goals have to be SMART. And that's an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. She said, so what do you want to accomplish? Why do you want to accomplish it? And when do you want to accomplish? She said, for example, a general goal would be, I want to earn back my investment. But the specific goal would be, I want to earn back my investment by the end of my first full month, so I have a powerful first month story and can pay my credit card balance. So,
Wendy, will you do the SMART again?
yes, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brittany, since you have thousands on your team, what is your method of IPA? How do you know who to call back on what day? How do you even manage the hundreds of people on your team?
Well,
Does anybody else have this book?
don't hear me right now.
Have you seen the advertisements for this on Facebook? The High Achievers Playbook?
I think I've seen that. Is that what you use?
So here is an example. Can you see this? of the pages.
I can't read what it says though.
So like over here, it has make it happen right here.
Yes.
And it has a place for the date, the time, the activity, the contact and their information, and then a place for notes and a follow-up date. So it stretches across both sides. Oh, there's Brittany's. Is that just a sheet of paper?
No, that's a whiteboard.
Oh.
I can't see Brittany.
And we can't hear. You're on mute, babe.
No.
Am I on mute?
There,
Oh,
now
hang
you're
on.
not.
Oh, now
Unmute
I can
me. Wendy, unmute me. Oh.
Like I
let's see.
could hear her telling me to unmute her if she wasn't unmuted.
Oh, God. Okay. So I have both of my audios on, so I'm going to see if it's bothering them. I walked in here.
Okay.
I'm back on.
Put yourself on mute.
Oh, Lord. Hang on.
Hang on. Where'd she go? Oh, hang on. She left us. But it has a spot at the bottom for a to-do for business, a to-do for personal.
Yeah, I can sort of hear you, not real loud though.
I'm telling you, if somebody doesn't come to my house and help me,
now we can hear you.
Okay. Shoot. It's driving me nuts.
Can't see you. I just see your.
I just put my phone away. I'm like, it's driving me nuts that I'm using my phone in this. But Tamara, I do like a whiteboard, and I mark people off, and I message people through Facebook. I'm not like I'm a blue. I'm not going to lie to you. But I reach out to a ton of people every day. It's just my I'm a blue. I just mark people off. I send a sample to them. Like today, I sent out 3 samples. I do stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a huge system. I'm not super organized, but I make sure that I am.
You're not a planner.
I'm not a planner. I'm not a huge planner. I'm not super organized, but I make sure I do my work.
Well, I just have, after now that I've gotten some more people that I've started conversations with, and, you have the initial conversation, and then I sent some emails, some messenger, a couple of people text messages. So then I'm like, okay, I write them down like this on this date. And so I'm trying to figure out, when do I know to contact them? Where do I keep this information so it's clear? Like I have a notebook and that's not working because I have to go through 50 pages to find the person I'm talking about. How do I know when I follow up with person A next week? That's what I have not figured out.
I would get a calendar.
Yeah.
Kathy Simpson uses a really good book. It's called DMO Success Guide. I use the same thing. It gives you multiple lists for different contacts. So your team, your customers, your prospects, people that have approached you about the business or the products, and you have a list, 2 different lists, one that you contacted throughout the month of August, so it gives you month by month. So I'm going to post that in the group now so that it's something that you can look at. It does cost money, but at least it's something that can get you started, and then you can go from there. Yes, okay. Mariana has it. She has it in her little screen if you can see it. I'm posting it right now.
So does Judy.
I have that too. I think I sent it to Donna also. I have one too.
Y'all, I bought this book like 6 months ago, and I've never
use it, girl.
You've never used it?
I've never used it.
Oh my God, girl. All right. Well, that right there is why you need to get over your damn self.
That's why I'm doing this. I'm sick of my damn self too.
I know, right? I'm like, that right there is enough for you to get over your damn self.
Amen.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh, there I am again. There I am
Okay,
again.
we're almost done.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got our SMART goals. And she said, she talks about being realistic. But she said, don't let it discourage you from making stretch goals. Those are different than unrealistic goals. The business grows faster when you keep making stretch goals for yourself and your team. What's the worst that could happen? You shoot for the moon and land among the stars. Not too shabby. So I think a lot of times if we think that we're just trying to set realistic goals, that we set our goals as too safe because we're afraid of not meeting them. So, that's that fear of failure. But, if we shoot for 5 ambassadors this month and we only sign 4, I don't think that's too shabby. I don't think that's a failure at all. So if we make a goal to reach out to 5 people every day and we only reach out to 3 new people every day, or 3 days a week we only get 3 people, I mean, y'all, we're still talking about 20 people a week. And she said, a goal without a timeline is just a dream.
A dream.
Who works better under pressure? Me too. If I know I've got a goal that I've got to meet, I will work my butt off to get there. Just like Leaders Retreat. Okay, and then a public declaration of your goals makes you accountable like nothing else.
So I think it's great that we should post our goals.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yes.
It's also the next step in actually believing they are possible. So with each bite-sized SMART goal you achieve, your confidence builds. And that's so true. So focus on the process of reaching your goal, not on the goal itself.
Oh, okay.
Because if we do the process, we'll get there.
That is so true.
Okay, and then on the very last page of chapter 2.
Oh, on that too, it talks about like asking, she calls it the universe, but we all know God.
Well, yes.
Asking God to place those people in your life, asking for those to set those intentions for those to come to life instead of just going through life with your head down, focused on what you need to be doing, whether that may actually open up a door if you actually look up and recognize that there are opportunities right in front of you. I thought that was a really obvious thing, maybe not for some, but to me it just stuck out of you need to ask for those opportunities because that sets the intention that you're looking for those opportunities.
Right. No, I think so too. I think that's awesome.
If we're all in this together, why don't we do something similar? I mean, we went to, Patricia, I can't think of her name, Tony Evans' daughter,
Yeah.
at the end of her,
Priscilla.
at the end, yeah, Priscilla, thank you. And at the end, everybody wrote down something they were praying for, and they put them at the altar, and then they passed them out as we left. And I still have those taped to the side of my dresser. And not every night, but I still pray for those 2. I pick 2 cards and still pray for those ladies regularly. So maybe it's something we could do and, pick a person out of a hat and then add that person and pray for that person while we're doing this book study.
Love it.
Absolutely. I'll take all the prayers I can get.
Me too.
Me 3.
But okay, Okay, so the last thing I have is on this very last page of chapter 2. Y'all, I want you to look at my poor book.
Oh my goodness, what happened?
My puppy. I was just thankful it was the cover. But on this very last page, page 40, it's got get into action. And she has 4 questions here. Everybody, I want y'all to write these down. Write down your answers before next Tuesday. Oh, look at you go, Lydia. So proud of you. Oh, and Trisha.
And Trisha.
Whoa. Overachievers.
I had already gone through this before this book study started, so that's why I have this down.
I did too, but I can't find where I wrote mine down.
Have you read it, Lydia? Have you read it? The book?
I am on chapter 3.
It's amazing.
So I haven't got very far.
Okay.
It's amazing.
It is. It has opened my eyes to so many things that I need to work on and to do different. And just, the way she puts it, it's not like I haven't heard it all before, but the way she puts it, it just makes it sound so simple. And I read it and I think, okay, well, duh.
Well, I think what people don't realize is this book is going to give you prime examples and that verbiage to help you process through an entire conversation from start A to Z. Like it gives you the entire conversation of what that should look like. Obviously, you tweak it to you and who you are, but she does a phenomenal job of giving you that conversation, just handing it to you in your lap, going, this is what you need to say when this particular instance comes up, which is, that's what I have learned the most out of this book was I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I know these things before? I had heard it, like Wendy said, but it didn't click with me until I read it on paper of how the actual conversation goes.
That's why I think book studies are so important, because when you actually read it, like half the stuff we say all the time, but when you actually sit down and you read it, it just resonates. It's so different.
I know. It's funny, when I first started reading the book, I'm thinking, okay, well, I can probably skip these chapters. We already know about your why and your goals and all this. And then after I started reading through it, I thought, okay, no, I don't need to skip these chapters.
Right.
Okay, can we go over our homework? So our homework is friend 5 to 10 people and make conversation with them on Messenger, right?
Yes.
Right.
That's 1. 2 is create a dream board, post onto the group, right?
And homework.
Right.
3 is write out your goals.
Yep.
Are we posting them?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then
Answer
the 4th,
questions.
Answer
Answer the questions.
Yeah. 4 is answer the questions on the end of chapter 2.
Yes. There we go.
Okay.
Say that one more time. It was the dream board.
I'll post it. I'll post
Yeah.
it on the.
Okay.
I want to wrap it up real quick, y'all. I know it's like 10:20. I want to tell y'all this real quick because I've got to go because I got to get Paige in bed. But you were talking about dreaming earlier, and that's part of this thing. And the whole time I was in Hawaii, is that me or is that somebody else? I hear
Well, hang on a minute. Let me mute everybody, and then I'll just unmute you.
Okay. I've got my phone over here. Doesn't matter. I don't have any makeup on. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So there was a part of the book that was talked about people stop dreaming. And I had a conversation. I had several conversations in Hawaii that were so powerful. And one of the conversations I had was with a girl one night, and her husband own a restaurant and they own a gym. So they have 2 traditional, businesses. and they did okay. I mean, and it was kind of like me where I own my salon. And I just recently, after talking with Kimber Williams, started to share with people that I was a 6-figure salon income earner. And part of the reason why I didn't really share that very often with people is because I felt like my story wasn't rags to riches enough. But I think that my story can really resonate with a lot of people, because I think people think to themselves, well, if she, as a 6-figure earner, would have done something like this, kind of like the girl in the book, right? I mean, they had the money and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I want, like she did it? And so there was a reason why I did it. Is through Plexus, I have learned how to dream again. Talking to this girl, I forget her name, something Reese. She just friend requested me. She said, we've owned these 2 businesses, and people think our life is so glamorous, but we're tired, and we didn't have dreams and aspirations anymore. And all we focused on was running these businesses, and that's how I felt. And being in Hawaii, y'all, was a dream. I felt as if I was in a dream. But the thing that I really realized is I came back so on fire for my team, because I want more of my team there, and I want my team to realize that this is possible for every single one of you on this phone call. Like, it's not impossible. There are people there that have said, I never dreamed that I could be here. And so I just encourage you to start visualizing yourself on those beaches in Hawaii next year. I encourage you to start praying over your businesses. I encourage you to start dreaming, to start to realize that this book, get over your damn self while I'm telling you to pray. This book, pray and ask the Lord, and read Get Over Your Damn Self at the same time. Okay. But I mean, seriously, y'all, I'm not, I felt the same way about the book in the beginning, and my God, I thought every single team member needs to read this. But I encourage you guys to really, we talked about the dream board, visualize yourself. Tell yourself daily those positive affirmations that you belong in Hawaii and you can get to Hawaii. Be intentional with your conversations, like we were talking about earlier. As Susan said earlier, know when to bring Plexus into the conversation, and that comes with listening. Okay, so start to listen to people. What are their needs? And sometimes if we stop focusing on our needs, we really hear what their needs are, because sometimes all we can think about is, I want to be silver, or I want to be gold so bad that we lose track and sight of why we're doing this. And why we're doing this is to really focus on others. And so I just encourage you guys, every single one of you on here, you all can be in Hawaii next year. And the people that were there, their stories, every single one of them is different. And so it's no different from any of you guys on this phone call. So I just encourage you to really dream and put this book into action. Okay, don't just read this book and jump on this call tonight or tomorrow or next week or whatever the case may be. Put this book in action. Come back next Tuesday and tell us a success story about what happened with your 5 friends, or what happened when you were intentional in a conversation, or how you listened to someone. All right? I don't know if y'all can see me, but I was shooting up the deuces on y'all.
You were kind of sideways. You were
I'm like on my phone, my computer, everything is like right there. But anyway, I love you guys. And you know what? Let's just end it in prayer then. Is that cool?
That's cool.
Okay. Lord, we just come to you tonight thanking you so much for the fellowship of all of these ladies that are on this phone call tonight. Lord, I just ask that you just move in every single one of their businesses. Lord, I just ask that you give them the words, you give them the wisdom, you give them the knowledge, and you walk with them through this Plexus journey, because I know in my heart that you brought this to me, Lord, and I'm so grateful every single day for the blessing that it's been for me, and also the blessing that it's been so many of my friends and family. And I'm just praying a huge blessing out on every single one of these ladies, on our teams, on the people that we are prospecting into this business, Lord, we're coming to you and we're bringing this to people so for the betterment of their lives. And we're just so grateful to be able to share this blessing with others, Lord. I'm praying for every single one of them until our next book study, Lord. I pray just this next week that you just open their eyes and their ears, and that whatever they do, seriously, they're coming to you, Lord, and it's to serve you first, because we know that you gave this to us, Lord. We're so grateful for you. We give you all the glory and the honor and the praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, guys. I love y'all.
Good night.
Love y'all. All right.